Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. I wish it was a better way to start and a better way to have some off-season news. We're obviously very much both of us in somber mode right now. I, of course, am your host, Marc Williams, and looking forward to this month. And happy August is gone. I'm still trying to. I'm trying to find the sunshine out of everything, Anthony. And a matter of fact, here is my co-host from the Hockey News, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Yeah, it is now September, like you mentioned. It was Green Day, affectionately said. Wake me up when September ends, because that means hockey regular season is getting ready to start. But yeah, unfortunately, the hockey community and was rocked to its core with the tragic news last, late Thursday night, Friday morning about the passings of Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew. It was one of those things, Marc. Didn't want to believe it. I when I first kind of got wind of it, I was hoping it was just a irresponsible rumor that someone started. But I would say after an hour or so of no one in the Gaudreau family or the Blue Jackets coming out and saying this is ridiculous, he's fine, I started to get a terrible knot in my stomach that it was indeed unfortunately true. And I had found out, because this is one of those things that you're not really gonna, forget, where you were when you found out. And I was in bed, and Jim Barringer, Marc, as you know, we became friendly with. He texted me. He's like you seeing these crazy rumors right now. When someone says that, and you're in hockey media, and you kind of assume like trade or whatnot. So I immediately go on my Twitter timeline, and I'm scrolling, and I don't see anything from any of the insiders reporting on anything. So I texted him I don't see anything. He's like, oh, there's someone said that Johnny Gaudreau died in an accident in New Jersey. I'm like, what? So then I opened my Twitter back up, and this time I typed in Gaudreau in the search field, and then you see all these tweets about people saying, what's this rumor? This is crazy, Johnny Gaudreau. And since then I was glued to my phone. I was just following it and kept refreshing. And like I said, Marc, after an hour or so of not seeing anybody debunk it, I started to get a really, really terrible feeling. And, at some point I just kind of put the phone down, and, I went to bed. And unfortunately, we all know what happened next. Woke up to the next morning of the tragic news that he did indeed pass away. So, but I don't know, before I kind of just let you get some words in, Marc, I just want to answer this question. So what I could say is this, the person who broke it is a pretty much a rando, kind of like unknown guy. I think like he was someone who reported in Philadelphia, and I don't know how he got the news. Like, clearly, he did have connections. He found out some way or the other. But listen, in that situation, I wouldn't report on anything, because there were some reports that the family didn't even know yet at some point. So like, this isn't a case of trying to make your name for yourself by breaking a trade and building credibility. That's different. That is totally different. It's apples to oranges. But when you're talking about someone's life, don't let you're not going to get anywhere by breaking it first. No one's going to say, hey, good job, you broke the death of an elite hockey player. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's just, in that case, the proper thing to do is just say nothing and let the organization and the family announce it on their own terms. So, Chris, that's the way that I would have handled it, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. I mean, there's a reason why after that guy made that tweet, he deleted it. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that the news had to come out that way, but I mean that's what kickstarted everything, Mark. Apparently this accident happened at 8 something, but I think this guy, it was around, I think, close to 10 o'clock when he had made that tweet, or shortly before that. So, yeah, should have just kept it to himself. But go ahead, Mark.
No, Anthony, it's well said. It's in this tweet. You damn well make sure you get it right. And well, let's first address the tweet that the family and everything, as you said, might not have known. There's a million other factors that go into that. You're not going to make a name for yourself with that tweet. You're not going to build your credibility or respect. Furthermore, after the news actually broke, and we were scrambling, we were talking about it a little bit right before I went to bed on Thursday night, and woke up Friday morning and I found this out. The first thing I did was embrace my fiance, because I can't imagine a world without her in my life. And that's one thing I thought about. This has been difficult for a lot of things, because people could focus on the news itself, but the actual aftermath of this, Johnny Gaudreau was such a well-respected person around the NHL. We're going to tell a couple stories about him that we might each have. I know I have one that I heard the other day, and I loved hearing about. He wanted to come back home. This isn't even a situation, because you got to get the people that go, well, maybe if he didn't sign in Columbus. This was an off-season thing. It was going to happen if he signed with the Philadelphia.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter where he signed.
It's the Moscow team, he could have said. I mean, it could have been anybody. This is him at his sister's wedding. Anthony, as I've said numerous times, I'm getting married in 2 months, and to a very wonderful woman. And I can't imagine what's going through that family still to this day. They went from getting ready for one of the greatest moments of one of his siblings' lives to a devastating, just absolutely crushing moment. Because then the next thing for all of us was, how do we exactly proceed with this? I mean, everybody wanted to do a Johnny Gaudreau tribute. Everybody wanted to go on and say things. And I have difficulty doing this now, and we're about 5 days afterwards. And Anthony, for one, changed around our lettering for Flames Red. We're going to have plenty of things to say. Anthony and I both have siblings. I literally still look at this and say I could have been anyone involved in this. Literally, I'm a bartender, so I have to deal with people that basically I have to protect against moments like this. Who knows? Could have been a driver at one point in my life. I've never been that irresponsible or that heartless, because that's still what sticks out of me is his reaction. We'll get to that much later in this. This is about Johnny and his brother. I'm a bicyclist. I like to go out biking. And of course, getting married. I couldn't imagine hearing this news the night before my wedding, or the day of my wedding. And then it's one of those things. It's still earth-shattering just to even put yourself in that position. But now to focus on the life of Johnny Gaudreau, because a lot of people have focused on everything that he's done on the ice, and you hear some stories about him, like that he went into his junior year that could actually be something that made Calgary a little bit more nervous. But he played his junior year at Boston College solely to play with his brother Matthew. And one thing, when I was making out the notes, I was doing it saying honoring Johnny Gaudreau or remembering Johnny Gaudreau. Anthony was always very pointed to put in Matthew too, because everybody's people are making these tributes to Johnny. Matthew also, he played for the Bridgeport Islanders. Great career in college. Not many people get to play college hockey. And Anthony, people have been watching our video about Johnny Gaudreau when he signed in Columbus, which was the most watched video we had in this channel's history up until that point. And this, you don't hear a bad word about him from anyone. He won the Lady Byng. So obviously he's a gentleman. One of the stories that I wanted to tell was about the Calgary announcers were saying that I had all the names down, but I'm forgetting a little bit right now. That he would text them even after he left the team. You guys looked great last night. Everything and talking to them. And he said there's a great story about him saying that he wanted to get popsicle sticks into the play-by-play. And of course he just laughed and said, "Oh, I don't have to worry about that." And the Flame scores, popsicle sticks everywhere. But this is the type of guy that Johnny was. And I say this a lot about some people, but it's sometimes when there's a light in the world that's gone, it's just sad.
Yeah, it's just an unspeakable tragedy. I mean, here you are, and you kind of alluded to it. This was a family, by all accounts, they're a very close, tight-knit family. They're getting ready to celebrate, their youngest daughter's wedding. And then the night before she's to be married, that, they innocently riding their bikes. I believe, from what I understand, on the way home from the rehearsal dinner or on the way to it. I think probably on the way back. And they're struck and killed by an idiot who decided to get behind the wheel after having, in his words, the cops, either 5 to 6 beers. And I'm still at a loss too. But what's inconceivable to me, Mark, is it's a 2-lane road. And this guy tried to pass the car in front of him on the right. He was in that much of a rush or a drunken state that he thought it would have been a good idea to try to pass the guy on the right. And he essentially mowed down Johnny and Matt on their bikes from behind. So, who knows if they saw that coming, if they heard it, and if they did, I'm sure there was not enough time to do anything. They must have been petrified. Hopefully for them it was quick and that there was no suffering. But it's just such a sad story because, I mean, not only forget about the fact that he's, an elite hockey player. It's the fact that, a whole generation in one family, 2 boys get wiped out at the same time. And, and again, the night before they were supposed to celebrate a joyous occasion in their family. And, so you go from planning a wedding to planning a double funeral. It's just heartbreaking. And then just the social media post from Johnny's wife, Meredith, a couple of days after, 2 posts with a lot of pictures about just honoring him as a husband, and then the other one as a father. And, that was a gut punch because, obviously, I'm married and I have kids, and like, I just can't imagine never seeing them again or it's so terrible. And they're so young. I mean, his one son, Johnny Jr., was born this past February, and, his daughter, I think, is only, 2 years old. So you're talking 2 kids that, especially the son that's only a couple months old. I mean, he's essentially never going to know his dad. And, the daughter, she's 2. I mean, obviously still not quite old enough to really grasp what happened, but, she's not really going to have very fond memories of her father either. I mean, think about it. I don't know about you, Mark, but I don't remember anything from when I was 2, other than if like a picture, but I don't actually have any memories of that. So I feel so bad for her. And then Matthew, I mean, Matthew's wife was pregnant. I mean, they were expecting their first child. And, so again, he's the trip is never going to know, his father. And it's just every time I think about it, it's just so heartbreaking that, that family had to endure such big losses at the same time. And the hockey community has been fantastic. You saw the GoFundMe account set up for Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Gaudreau, and his wife. The original goal was like $30,000, and I think last I saw it's over $500,000 now. So with fans, players, everybody just kind of chipping in, whether it was $5 or $10,000, one of the bigger donations I saw. Everyone's doing what they can to help this family out, and I'm so heartbroken for the family, and it's like I said, it's an unspeakable loss for them and the hockey world, and it's not something that you ever expect to happen. But unfortunately, again, it stems from one person making a really poor decision and shattered many lives from it. So I just still kind of grieving it. Again, Mark, it does hit close to home. Father, husband. I can't imagine what they're going through. And tonight, I know they're having candlelight vigils both in Calgary and Columbus at 8:00 tonight. And earlier today, the Blue Jackets, Don Waddell spoke with all of the Blue Jackets captain and assistant captains, and I watched it. It was tough to watch. Boone Jenner was the first to go, and he was visibly broken up while he was speaking, and it's just, again, it's just so sad on so many different levels.
And unfortunately, the Blue Jackets are no strangers to this right now. With Anthony, I'm sorry. What was the goaltender's name again?
Kiwi Lynx.
Yeah. He that he died with the firework kit.
Yeah.
And then you have this. This is the biggest moment in Blue Jackets history, signing Johnny Gaudreau. This is what puts them on the map in a lot of ways. As Shannon's saying right here, living in Calgary is pretty hard to deal with it. I commend all those who support the Gaudreau family. The vigil tonight at the Saddle Dome is going to be one for the ages. And you know what? Light an extra candle for us if you can, because it's one of those things. And I have a feeling this was going to happen no matter what. I have a feeling this was just whatever decisions this guy was going to make, he was going to do it no matter what, because it's a 2-lane road. The SUV's moving over you. He's trying to pass everybody and going in there. And then his reaction at the arraignment, but I'll get to some of the other reactions. I don't want to spend as much time on this, but his reaction at the arraignment showed almost no remorse. So,
that really bothered me. I'm like, oh, sorry to inconvenience you. You have to stay an extra couple of days. Like you literally just ripped apart lives of a whole family, and you're going to sit there huffing and puffing that you got to stay to whatever it was. I think it's tomorrow, Thursday, he said. But
it's Thursday. He gets out tomorrow.
It's that was show some remorse. I mean, come on,
right. And show at least and come out and make at least some statement. He better come out and say something tomorrow morning. I'll tell you that. As soon as he's out. He better not walk out in Kaiser Soze and go and fade off into the distance. I mean, you better say something. Well, now you had days to think about it.
You know what really grinds my gears is that, this isn't 30 years ago where cell phones weren't a thing, and maybe it's a little harder in that situation to find a ride. But in this day and age, everyone has a phone. Everyone has access to ordering an Uber, ordering a Lyft, calling a family member, like, hey, I had a little bit one too many to drink. Can you pick me up? Like, do the responsible thing. That's what I'm saying. This didn't have to happen. Like, I don't. Yeah. It's just really, really unfortunate.
And you know what? The outpouring of support and tributes that are around for him. I know Mike Greenberg did something on ESPN's Get Up that there was a lot of tributes going around, and everybody from LeBron James all the way to obviously his alma mater, Boston College.
Yeah, I mean the Philadelphia Phillies, the Cleveland Guardians, they all did moments of silence. The Yankees did one. Some of the soccer teams based in Columbus, like I think FC Crew, and another soccer organization. I believe the Detroit Tigers did one too. I think
the New York Mets did one too.
Yeah, Ohio State, when the Ohio State football team had their game, they did one. And honestly, I'm sure with NFL kicking off this week, Sunday. I mean, who knows? Maybe even the Chiefs Ravens, they do the right thing before that game and have a moment of silence. But yeah, no, a lot of different sports leagues have offered their condolences to the Gaudreau and the Gaudreaus in the hockey world, the NHL, the Blue Jackets. And as Angie's saying down here in the comments, I mean, Cole Caulfield tugged at my heartstrings, when I saw his post that he's switching his number to Gaudreau. Looked up to him, a smaller player just like him. I thought that was really, really a class act.
Yeah, and matter of fact, that was the next thing I was going to mention, because there's the number, the switch right there. And Angie, you're right about that, because Maria encouraged me to try to say something on this on Friday. I had trouble. I had a lot of trouble with a lot of things, trying to process this. Both of us, Anthony, have had losses in our families in the last couple of years. It's probably, I think this might be like one of the biggest ones to hit me. As far as somebody that I've never known, if you want to say hockey community, yeah, we'll go with that. And it is senseless, and you wish there was a different way around it. And I didn't even mention like Seat Geek or something like this, because it's hard to transition from. We're going to be talking about. Fortunately, the NHL has some news for us, and oddly enough, it was going to break Friday, but then they had this happen, and fortunately, everybody kept it on the wraps, so we're able to talk about something else. It's just hard to exactly pick up and go, okay, yeah, so check out our sponsor on this one or something like this. It's and that's the thing. We're professionals, but everybody feels things, and it's still hard to put into words.
Yeah, and I mean one angle that you didn't even really touch on is like just feeling for her. His sister, Katie, the one that was getting married. Like I'm sure she has, irrational guilt, like, about like, oh, if only I was getting married on a different day, maybe my brothers would still be here. You know what I'm saying? So like the trickle down effect of the causes of emotion that this is going to cause for people in his family and even just fans is just it's really deep. And it hit, like I said, and this isn't about just grieving as a hockey player. It goes well beyond that. It's the real life human aspect of it when you see the pictures that his wife has posted and the beautiful tribute that Matthew Gaudreau's wife posted. Like it just all hits home. And again, it just goes back to as actually Leo just said here, I was literally just about to say it. It's just such a senseless death that didn't need to happen. And
and then, by the way, and then sometimes the reactions to some of these things where you have the guy that tweeted to her, if only you weren't getting married so young, your brothers would still be.
I saw that.
Who the hell are you to say that?
Yeah, it's
terrible. He's a professional poker player.
Yeah,
and he got killed, rightfully so. Figuratively speaking, I'm sorry, he got critiqued. Sorry,
there's just honestly, I don't pay attention to anything like that. It's just there are people that are just terrible. I mean, it goes to the same amount of people that that post like memes about the Twin Towers, like Hurricanes fans and other people. They're just bad, stupid people who have no grasp on reality. And listen, I'm someone I think it's good to joke about things, and there are some things that kind of push the line that I'll still laugh at, but there's certain things that are off limits. You don't make jokes about, and
certainly you don't make a joke about it,
and that's
hours after it happened.
Yeah.
But we are going to try to change gears and move on from this. And you know what? I think it's an appropriate time. Let's take a message from DraftKings right now. Or the DraftKings read in there, so that way it gives us at least a couple seconds to reset. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame moneyline on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. And Anthony, just one last word about it. I think I said it to somebody the other day. Like, I love doing the show. I would love it if it was our lives. The last thing I wanted to do the last couple of days is talk hockey. But you know something? I'm sure Johnny wouldn't want anybody to stop talking about it. And let's officially.
You beat me to it. I have one just quick story about Gaudreau that I kind of just wanted to share, and not necessarily firsthand, but Mark, as you know, I have my wife and I, we have that lake house that we have up in Vermont. That's by the Canadian border. The guy that we found to be our property manager, because it's so far away, just kind of like handle things when we can't be there. Really cool guy. He works with the Department of Homeland Security. And he used to be a cop. He's like, I call him like the most interesting man in the world from like the Dos Equis commercials. He's got great stories, and he's just a great guy. But anyway, he plays hockey. So we've kind of had that mutual bond shortly after I met him. And he told me a story that Johnny Gaudreau's grandparents actually have a house up in Derby Line where my cabin is. Maybe he said it's like 20 minutes away or so. It's way up there up north. And in the summertime, Johnny Gaudreau would go up there to see his grandparents and his uncles, and they would play hockey at there's a hockey rink up in Jay Peak. Jay Peak is like a mountain resort that's about 45 minutes from where our cabin is. But anyway, during the summertime, Gaudreau would go up there and he would skate at the local rink. And my property manager, over the years, he's actually gotten to know one of Gaudreau's uncles pretty well. So he would be invited down to play pickup hockey in the summertime. And he showed me a picture of him and Gaudreau like afterwards on the ice. And my property manager's name's Scott, but Scott said that Gaudreau was just like the nicest guy. Like after they were done playing, he took the time to take a picture with his daughter and kind of just hang out and just kind of talk to the guys in the locker room who everyone who was playing pickup that day alongside his uncle, and that he was just a really down to earth guy, like a normal guy, just loved to play hockey, and just talk to people like he was a normal person. So I thought that was cool when he shared that with me, and I'm like, I was like, one day, in the summertime, when Johnny's going up there to skate and you're gonna skate, let me know. I'll tell my wife we got to go up to the cabin that week so I can experience that and skate. Clearly, never get that opportunity now, but But yeah, I just wanted to share that little anecdote. By all accounts, he's a really good guy.
Yeah, and it's again, you haven't heard now. Obviously, you haven't heard a bad word about it, especially now. But you wouldn't hear it anyway. Like it's just everywhere. So, yeah, it's just we're gonna keep on talking. We're gonna move on to the big news that happened yesterday. And like I said, it's hard for us to try to change gears on this, but we're gonna. The A block powered by Seat Geek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey on your first order. And don't forget that there's Big Apple Hockey shirts and trucker hats available in the link below. Anthony, speaking of Johnny, you got a hoodie from him that's going to a charity.
Yeah, it's if you Google if you Google CBJ Artillery, I guess it's just like a fan shop for that. I guess fans up in Columbus made. They sell merchandise, and they made T-shirts and hoodies available. Let's say 13, and then Johnny Hockey, and then they said all proceeds from the sales of that merchandise is going to go to Matthew Gaudreau and his wife. So yeah, I picked one up. Felt like anything I can do to contribute just felt right. So yeah, I don't have the link handy, but if you guys go again, if you Google CBJ Artillery, it'll be like pretty much the first result. You click it, and then on the homepage you'll see it. They have all Gaudreau T-shirts and hoodies available.
I'll actually find that in our group chat, and I'll put it in the comment section after we're done with it. But the big news yesterday, Anthony, and I got to tell you, it's not a shocker and a shocker at the same time. Odd way to put that, but Leon Draisaitl agreeing with the Edmonton Oilers to an 8-year, $112 million extension. That's $14 million a season. He will be the NHL's highest paid player starting next season. Right now, he's still not. It's still Austin Matthews, then Nate McKinnon, and then Connor McDavid at $12.5 million. Anthony, we're going to be talking about a lot of ramifications throughout the show in this contest, on this contract. What is the ramification of this contract?
I mean, well, the ramifications is that it just means that when Connor McDavid's up next year, that he's going to get at least $15 million on his next contract. I mean, this Draisaitl contract set the bar, and we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. About the whole, essentially next man up mentality is like when the next elite player is available. And you saw what happened with McKinnon. He got 12.6. McDavid was at 12.5. So you're going to get a little more than the highest paid player. So, I'm not surprised that Draisaitl surpassed Matthews. I think everybody knew it. It's just the natural progression of things. Revenue is going up, the cap's going up, and these elite players, when it comes time for them to sign contract extensions, they're going to get more than the next guy. And that's what you saw happen with Draisaitl. And I mean, that's what you're going to see happen with McDavid. McDavid's going to get more than 14 million. How much more? You really just don't know. But at the very least, I would say 15 million is going to be the starting point there. So we'll have to see what happens there. Mike is saying he might get 18, and listen, he could get 16. James Myrtle, the Leafs guy, said 16, 17, but I honestly don't think we'll get 18. I think for him, it's just he's definitely going to be the highest paid player. I don't think he really cares if, let's say, he only got $1 million more than Draisaitl. I just think it's going to be a matter of he's going to be the highest paid player in the league. I don't necessarily it's going to look at it and he's going to say there's a certain number in mind. Because again, I know it's apples to oranges here, but like when Nathan McKinnon signed his contract, he didn't get $14 million, about what, $2.5 million more than McDavid. He
Mhm.
got 100,000 more. And again, I know it's different. Nathan McKinnon isn't Connor McDavid, although he is somewhat at least in that same stratosphere. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think McDavid's going to totally blow by Draisaitl, but he's certainly going to surpass him.
Anthony, this is kind of a difficult one for me on this because first off, I always say you can't let elite players go, but you're basically going to be paying two players $30 million next season, and they want to always say about percentages and of the cap and stuff like that.
Not to cut you off, but they're also going to have to pay Evan Bouchard, who just had an 82-point season as a defenseman this year. So if he has another year like he did this year, then you're talking, at least 9, Adam Fox money, not Makar money, 9.5, even 10. So yeah, I don't know how the Oilers are going to juggle that.
Which first, there's literally 28 other teams in the league. No, never mind that. There's 31 teams in the league that would love to have a superstar combination of what the Oilers have. I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl, because after all, Draisaitl shows up in the playoffs too, which a lot of Ranger fans would wish would happen with some of their guys, and maybe even some Leaf fans would kind of say. But I still have a little difficulty going with the price tag on these guys coming in. I think it's 2 years, but the Oilers still have some time. Next year it's going to be $26.5 million. So hopefully the Oilers can get it done this year because it affects your depth. You then have to start saying, all right, well, how are we going to get this? You got to hope that you don't get another elite player. And then you got to hope whenever you do commit money to somebody that they are performing at a level that justifies their contract. After all, let's look at the New York Rangers. A lot of people aren't happy with Jacob Trouba. Let's look at the Edmonton Oilers. A lot of people are unhappy with Darnell Nurse. So it's one of those things. Once you commit that money, it's got to be well spent. When it comes to Leon Draisaitl, he outperformed his last contract and in spades.
Oh yeah.
So I have no. If you want to say if there's somebody in the camp, someone out there might go, the Edmonton Oilers overpaid for Leon Draisaitl. My reaction is good. You had to. You owe him that money.
I don't think you overpaid him. He's one of the. Do you want to call him the second best player in the world? Because you could. If someone said to me Leon Draisaitl is the second best player in the world, I wouldn't say you're nuts or disparage them. I mean, that's totally fair. I mean, you can make a debate. Is it Austin Matthews? Is it Nathan McKinnon? Is it Nikita Kucherov? I mean, that's all in there for sure. But I don't think Leon Draisaitl is overpaid at all. And honestly, Mark, I'll tell you this: the Oilers could have given him $15 million, and I wouldn't have said that's an overpayment. I mean, he's legitimately an elite. I mean, I'll go as far as saying, you often throw around the terms generational players, right? McDavid generational, Crosby, Ovechkin. I mean, Leon Draisaitl, in my opinion, he's close to being a generational player. I mean, the guy. If he hung him up today, we talked about this Hall of Fame and that tweet that kind of started it all. Yeah, he's a lock. He's a Hall of Fame. He's a lock for the Hall of Fame. I don't. Again, the point is there's no overpayment here. No issues with the number. Well worth it. Phenomenal player. And now Connor McDavid is just going to get a huge bag. once he's up.
And that's where you're right.
And
about
also too, I like how Draisaitl signed. Like he didn't have to. He could have played out the year, had it drag on. He re-upped. He essentially re-upped right away. A whole year before his contract was up, he re-signed, and that's the sign of someone who wants to be there. He clearly wants to be in Edmonton. And I don't know what you were going to say, but my next question was in that vein is, I mean, does it concern you that because Igor's in the same situation as him essentially? He's a year away. Draisaitl's committing a year in advance, re-signing. Like, why hasn't Igor re-signed yet? Like, when these guys drag their feet and don't re-sign like right away, to me, it does raise a little bit of a alarm going off in my head. And honestly, when Tavares did not sign an extension in the summer of, or that would have been the summer of 2017, when he didn't sign an extension that year, when he could have, it was like, okay, well, now you're going to have to answer all these questions. It's going to drag out. And look what happened. He left. I think, and listen, it's not always the case. And I'm sure right now, if you tried to think of it, you probably can come up with a player that didn't sign a year in advance and ended up re-signing, before his contract was up. But chances are, players that don't sign once they're eligible to tend to eventually leave. I mean, I think that's usually how it goes.
Well, again, you don't exactly rest that temptation out there or let them have that temptation. Just to get this thought out, there are some people that would try to make the argument that Leon Draisaitl is Robin to McDavid's Batman. I would disagree with that in saying he's Batman to McDavid's Superman, and they're both in the Justice League, and they're both more than worthy. Talking about a guy that won an MVP when McDavid went down, and that's how special of a player he is. Going to Shesterkin and some other players. Now, I have a feeling if the John Tavares situation happened almost now, we'll say, or maybe even let's go if the John Tavares situation happened in after the 2020 season. I don't think he leaves, because then he knows they're going to UBS. He knows what the deal is with that. The Islanders kind of had question marks with that for a little bit, and I do think John Tavares probably would have stayed. Now, going to some other players, I mean, Henrik Lundqvist, I believe, and I need Phil for this, or even Statboy Steven, who I believe 2013, Lundqvist started the year with the final year of his deal and re-signed about 2 months in. So it's not that it's not impossible. And yes, I agree with you on this, Anthony. I would get worried about that. I don't think Igor is going anywhere, because you have to find the team that's desperate enough to do it. And then you'd also have to find another city that he would want to go and live in. He's not just going to up and go to Florida, because that job's taken by Bobrovsky. Los Angeles, maybe, but they've been kind of mismanaging their numbers for a little bit and their contracts. I'm not as worried. What worries me still, and like you said, is what the number is going to be. And that's where you have to ask that question. I think Shesterkin still signs at a somewhat reasonable rate. We'll see about that one soon enough. Now, I'm trying to think of what other things you said in that last sentence.
Well, no, it's the thing. The players that make the decision to commit and re-sign right when they're eligible a year in advance. I mean, Draisaitl, Ilya Sorokin last year, he re-signed when he still had a year left on his contract. Jacob Slavin just this year, he committed to Carolina a year in advance. I mean,
you had some of those Tampa Bay guys.
I'm sure that yeah. So like these players, they kind of sign once they become eligible, and you start scratching your head. It's like, why hasn't Igor Shesterkin committed to the Rangers long term yet?
I think part of the thing could be on the other side of it. They have to figure out what they got available in the cap and when it's available. And because when you're say it outright, Anthony, there's dead money on this cap. We all know where it is. So.
But when you're talking about the elite players, I get what you're saying. You have to try to project the cap. But when it comes to players like that, you don't worry about that. You get the guy signed, and then a year later, you figure out what you have to do to move money once that contract kicks in. Like the Oilers, you think they're worried about what their cap situation is going to be? No, they want to keep Leon Draisaitl at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I get what you're saying to an extent, but I don't know how much of an excuse that is, because again, it's Igor Shesterkin. The Rangers should do whatever they can to re-sign him and then worry about it later. So again, I ask, why hasn't he re-signed yet? I mean, what is he What's the deal?
That's a great question, and it's all quiet on the Western Front with that. So hopefully that there's some news in the pipeline, either way. Because the other question you have is, can you win with a superstar goaltender? And the other thing I always bring up is goalie trades of that magnitude do not happen within season. So, or at least not anymore. Everybody's moved away from that. So I think the New York Rangers have no choice but to talk this out with them. And for Igor, I want to know what exactly are his targets, if any. And if you could say Chicago, maybe, because they don't have a franchise goaltender. And there's maybe a handful of other cities. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but the first things first, the Players Association loves this deal because, as you said before, Anthony, next man up, gonna get a big deal. What happens if Mitch Marner wins an MVP this year? He might be looking at something like that, and he's going to be a UFA, and I doubt he wants to leave Toronto either. So they're gonna have to figure out a way to make that situation work. You're gonna have the Edmonton Oilers in about 2 years paying two players probably $30 million, I would say. We're going to get to the actual number in a little bit. And then you have more than likely the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be paying probably three players $35 million. It's the numbers are just mind-boggling. And by the way, I had a fun article that I wrote. I was going to publish it last week, and I'll do it this week about NHL salaries and if you combine them, what you might get out of that. But we're going to be talking more about what Connor McDavid's going to be getting in our Bar Talk segment, which is actually going to be coming up right now. Anthony, do you think but before we get too far, how much is this going to impact Bouchard's next deal? You started talking about it. Do you think Edmonton's just going to go hell or high water? They're going to keep this guy.
Yeah, they're not letting Evan Bouchard go anywhere. Again, if he has another year that he did last year, he's gonna get Adam Fox, Cal McCarn money. It's that's just how it's gonna go.
Entering the last year of his deal.
Yeah,
absolutely. Look, Anthony, cap numbers, they add up, and this would be a make or break year that could close.
They do, but again, for these type of players, you get them signed, and then you deal with everything else later. You move how you have to move. You buy out somebody, you trade somebody. They're not going to worry about it. They're just going to do what they can to keep the best players on their team, and that's Leon Draisaitl, and same thing with Evan Bouchard. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, agreed on that one. All right, well, let's get to Bar Talk, where we got more stuff that we're going to be mentioning about number 13.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. Yeah, we experimented with a jingle last week, so I kind of threw that in, see if you guys might like it. I would love to see the reaction of our third co-host who's not here tonight on it. But guys, welcome back to NHL Bar Talk. We're gauging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. You're so confident that you're buying around. So have a beer, or oh God, I need a shot. Play along down in the comments below. And as always, the Big Apple Hockey shirts and trucker hats are available. Probably next week, hopefully we can give some away. And let's stick with what the main topic is, Anthony, which is Johnny Gaudreau. You look at his number with the Calgary Flames. 210 goals, 399 assists, 609 points in 602 games. It was well over a point per game in his career. And he even had that memorable OT winner versus the Dallas Stars. That was just an amazing shot that he had to beat Jake Ottinger, who did an impression of a wall in that game. And that was when I picked Calgary to go on to win the Stanley Cup. They were stunned by Edmonton in that season. Anthony, the Flames should retire number 13.
Yeah, round. I mean, I even think the Columbus Blue Jackets might do it. Earlier today, when they had that media availability, someone asked Dom Waddell about, what the plans are for opening night, honoring whatever jersey retirement. And, he said, yeah, there's a lot of things in the works that they're still sorting through, and it should come out soon. So it's possible his number 13 goes up in the rafters in Columbus. And if that's the case, it absolutely needs to be done in Calgary. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. Number 13 goes to the rafters. No one wears it ever again. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah, I'm going to go round on this one. Everybody loves Johnny, and I told the story about all the media that's saying this about him, and 100% on this one. Look, if you ask players that wore 13 in the past for them, like German Titov, he'd probably be like, yeah, go ahead, retire it for him. I'm not sure if I'd have to look it up if another player's worn it in the 2 years since he's been gone. But yeah, there's plenty of reason for 13 to be retired in Calgary and in Columbus. You actually look at his numbers in his career, Anthony. He was still in an upwards trajectory. He was
absolutely.
I mean, that's it again. Imagine if Columbus started developing their talent a little bit more, or maybe that they weren't such a disaster as far as like a revolving door of coaches the last few years. That team, he could have been the Artemi Panarin to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Well, twice, because also they had Artemi Panarin. He really was an MVP caliber player for them. But he really could have sparked like their rebuild and gotten them their ascension into greatness. And instead, they're going to be lost without him. I, by the way, I can only imagine just what the players are going to feel like this season. And I wonder if it's going to galvanize them and make the Blue Jackets the best they could possibly be. We're going to see about that, and hopefully that's going to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll say this now. I don't care. I hope the Blue Jackets win the division. I
don't mind saying that.
Finish ahead of my team. I don't care. I mean, I think that would be such a great story if they can come together, in the name of Gaudreau and succeed. I would love to see that. Absolutely. Yeah. And but I bring that up because you said you wonder if it's going to galvanize them. I think Columbus, even Calgary to an extent too, but especially Columbus, I think this could really pull Columbus together. You not to get too far off topic, but you see what tragedies can kind of do. There was Vegas, that shooting in Vegas, the Golden Knights, that was right before their inaugural year, right? And they
that was actually before they played their first game.
They went on to go to the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year. So stuff like that can pull a team, a community together. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Blue Jackets come out motivated and just on a mission.
You'd hope that would be the case. I'm trying to think, Anthony. I think the pitcher from Anaheim comes to mind. I think it was I'm sorry, anybody, if I get his name wrong.
I know who you're talking about. I forget his name, but yeah.
I think it was Skaggs. I think that's what it was. He was there. I want to say 2018 it happened, or Jose Fernandez in 2016, and it hurt the Marlins pretty bad. But also, I think it might be too far away to. Hopefully, they do galvanize, but I hope they will be able to have the motivation to go through it the entire season. But play for number 13, Columbus, and go right ahead and be the best you guys can be. The Rangers defense, Anthony, you look at some of their pairings at the end of last year, or what is considered to be the pairings right now, projected. Adam Fox and Ryan Lindgren, K'Andre Miller, Braden Schneider, Jacob Trouba, and Zach Jones, who looks like he's poised to take over that 6th spot. Anthony, the Rangers defense is a cause for concern.
Debating between beer and round here. I'll go beer, but I definitely think they could use a little more in the defense because obviously you have Adam Fox there, who's phenomenal. But then from there, you have a Ryan Lindgren who's kind of always hurt. He's a warrior, but he's held together with sticks and glue. He's always out for a little bit. Then you have Keandre Miller, who's kind of up and down. Sometimes he looks like he's going to be a really great defenseman, and sometimes he looks like he should be a number 6 guy. And that's just with age too. Hopefully, he gets more consistent. But right now, that's what it is. And then you have Trouba, who's just, bad. And then you have Zach Jones, who's still unproven. And then, there's Schneider, who's still, he's solid, but, he still has a lot of ups and downs and still relatively unproven. So, yeah, I think this defensive group could have used another acquisition. Heard that they were involved in Jacob Chikrin to an extent. But, the market for defensemen really wasn't that great. I don't know who was out there right now that they can add. No one's going to move a needle. Sure, you can invite Marco Scandella on a PTO to camp, but again, how much does that really move things? So I don't know what they could do at this point, but yeah, I'm not sold on their defense 1 through 6.
I got to tell you this, Anthony. There's almost 2 answers for this for me. Let me go with beer for the regular season. But this better not be in the playoffs. So I'm going to go round on that because they were exposed in the playoffs for having a weak third pairing, and that did have Jacob Trouba and Eric Gustafsson in there. And I know they produced with some points. But man, Anthony, that was a terrible, terrible pairing. And I want to look right for the camera on this one again. For everybody that's saying Jacob Trouba was compromised with an injury in the playoffs, that means he should have been more cautious with the way he was skating, not more aggressive. I bring this up, Anthony, because the one that baffles me still to this day is the Game 4 penalty kill in overtime. If you have a defenseman
he went up
that
too
goes
high,
all the way out to the boards and above the dot, oh my God. Oh my God, if I could have hired Jeff Galooly to take out his knees for the next game so that way I couldn't put him in the lineup, I would have. Come on. You can't do that. You can't. And it's one of those things that there's the Trouba defenders that are on that I'll see on Twitter. And look, Jacob Trouba is a great person. Everybody, speaking about gentlemanly guys, everybody talks about Jacob Trouba as a great guy. Yeah, does he play and cross the line? Sure. But come on. You can't do that. So Jacob Trouba, you better figure it out. As the great saying goes, you got to get it together. So come on. Can't be, and I'm sorry about bringing up Nancy Kerrigan in this moment, but it's just like, oh my goodness. Let's go to a guy that is producing and is constantly producing.
Well, I guess we'll get to some of these.
Oh, wait, hold on. No, wait. Let's do this one.
I was good. Yeah, because I didn't. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the fans who want to boo Trouba opening night?
Fans who want to boo Trouba on opening night. Anthony?
I have my opinions on it. Let's just say that. I don't know. Like, there are Islander players in the past that I haven't liked because they were bad. But they still played for my team. I didn't necessarily boo them. So especially your captain. So to boo your captain because he was bad playing on a bad ankle. The intentions were good. He's a warrior. He's a captain. He wanted to play. I can admire all that. And maybe that did contribute to his play last season. But I don't know. And again, this is just my opinion. I'm not going to chastise anyone who does boo him. You pay your money to go to the game. You can do what you want. That's fine. Me personally, I wouldn't boo. I wouldn't boo him. You'd have to do a lot for me to boo a player on my team, like Kirk Muller. That's a guy.
Muller deserved it.
That's a guy that I certainly would boo. Jacob Trouba, I wouldn't boo him, but again, that's just my opinion, and anyone that wants to boo him, that's fine. That's just my feelings on it.
Anthony, I just have to smile. It's 28 years after the fact. I agree with you 100%. I would still boo Carl Muller. First things first. His name is Jacob Trouba, so they're gonna say True. But just because you can't root for him doesn't mean you won't root for him. And if he winds up and blasts the first puck into the net like he did in, I believe it was, I think it was he scored the first goal of the season in 2019. He might have scored the second goal of the season. Every fan's going to cheer him. Look, here's the great thing about New York. We'll boo you. We want to cheer you. Doesn't matter who you are. And it's just the players that keep egging it on and trying to be like, I don't care about them. Well, then it ends up being a bad relationship with the fans. You can embrace the booing. That happens too. There's a lot of guys that do that. They embrace the booing and they even say, look, I deserve this. I need to be better. So finishing up, if I was there, I'm not going to be there. But if I was there, I wouldn't boo him. I wouldn't say anything. I just wouldn't. As far as it goes with Jacob Trouba, there's always a player on a team you root for that you just like, get that guy off my team. I don't want him on my team. And as of right now, it's him. But you know what? Maybe he senses up a little bit. Maybe he plays like the defenseman he could be. Doesn't have to be overly aggressive, trying to take off everyone's head. But no, it's I hope he would be a little bit more conservative and not so meandering, and that would really help his play because I have no idea what I'm starting to wonder what they ever saw in him because this contract has been an absolute albatross for the New York Rangers ever since he signed it. Let's go to a guy that's produced. And speaking about guys that are going to be free agents next year and outperforming their current contract, Anthony Brock Nelson. He's been leading the Islanders in goals since 2020. And in the 2020 season, he scored under 30. I think he was on a better pace than that, but still, because I mean, after all, the 2020 season, it was only 56 games. So, but the last year, Anthony, 34 goals for Nelson, 33 for Horvat, 30 for Palmieri, which is, I think we said in our Islanders wrap up, that's the most 30 goal scorers that they've had in like 30 years on the team. It might have been 20. I have to double check that one. Anthony, Bo Horvat will overtake Brock Nelson and be the New York Islanders goal leader this season.
Horvat had a good year last year. Him and Barzal really meshed. 33 goals for Horvat. He plays that bumper spot on the power play. He's got a good release. Plays with Barzal on the top line. But I am going to say beer because I feel that Brock Nelson will continue his reign as leading the Islanders in goals for the sixth straight season. And I say Brock Nelson leads the Islanders in goals once again. And as in the past, 3 years or so, flirts with 40 goals.
Wow, this is a tough one because I like the way Bo Horvat's played, especially as a New York Islander. I do wonder, though, if you have Duclair on the line with them, I think Duclair might take away some goal chances from Horvat. But consider that Horvat had 33 goals last year. They didn't have really a suitable right wing that could open up spaces. And I think they used 8 right wings last year. I would actually, but then, and the guy I got to bet against is contract year Brock Nelson. I'm going to go beer on this. I can't go to round and I can't go to shot. So he's just, if there's anybody I could take on my team any day of the week, it would be either Bo Horvat or Brock Nelson. But I can't count against Brock Nelson. I think he's just gonna buckle down, focus, and he knows he's gonna get the best contract of his career, possibly. Although I think he would still take a hometown discount for the Islanders. All right, let's go with a guy that is looking to get paid as well. Current RFA, Dawson Mercer. He went from a 56-point season 2 years ago that he had 27 goals, Anthony, to last season, 20 goals, 33 points overall. Anthony, Dawson Mercer will sign a contract before training camp opens.
I mean, we see this every year, right? Last year it was Trevor Zegras that went into September and then actually missed some time. I mean, it's not really a matter of cap space. The Devils, that's not the issue. I think Mercer right now is just probably asking for a little more than what Fitzgerald is comfortable giving. I'm actually, I'm gonna go off the board here, and I'm actually gonna say shot. I think he joins the team a little bit after training camp. I think this one might linger a little bit. Just my gut feeling. Nothing that I'm hearing specifically, but that's just kind of my guess right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the same thing actually, Anthony, and a little bit along the same lines of what you said. I actually want to redesign the shot guy also right now, but I think you got a good point with that one, Anthony, because I think what it's going to be is Dawson Mercer. Look, he's a young kid. He played great last season, and he's had a real good look at his career so far. I think he's been 20 goals every single season of his career so far. Now, he could also look around and go, look at the amount of money you spent bringing in Pesci, bringing in Markstrom, bringing in all these other guys. Where's my money? I performed for this team. I nearly had a 30-goal season. And you know what? I think he kind of deserves it.
Yeah.
I'd pay him. Two more guys that are unsigned right now. Let's go to Detroit because you got Lucas Raymond and Moritz Seider. They remain unsigned. One of Moritz Seider or Lucas Raymond will miss the start of training camp.
I'm gonna go shot on this one again. But this time I'm saying I think they both re-signed beforehand. The Red Wings have close to $18 million of cap space right now. I mean, they could give both these guys $8 million tomorrow and still be a little under the cap. So again, it's not an issue of money here. I think it's just about Steve Yzerman being a strong-willed GM, and he's going to try to get the best deal he can for his team. But let's make no mistake about it. These two guys are really important young players to the Red Wings' success. You don't want these guys missing too much time. I think it's imperative that they both get signed, and I think they will.
You know something? If it's two contracts, as I hit my microphone, I hope I just didn't kill everybody's ears. It's two contracts. I'm going to say that I think one of them might miss. So yeah, I'll go with round on this one because beer would mean that they might be there. I think you might get one that misses the start of training camp. That's only about 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could have one miss it. I don't think both miss it. And I think they're going to prioritize Seider first because he's the bigger contract and the bigger player, quite literally. Hopefully they're two fair deals. The players feel good when they come back and their careers continue to flourish. Lucas Raymond was really coming on at the end of last season. And a matter of fact, they finished 1 point out of the playoffs. Where you look at the non-Atlantic Division playoff teams, Detroit 91 points, Buffalo 84, Ottawa 78, and Montreal 76. And with all the additions that they've made, Montreal Canadiens will compete for a wild card spot this season.
Now, when you say compete, what do you talking about? Like they're
all right. Now
they're in the race the whole time.
Get into the playoffs last season. Let's gauge this. Detroit had 91, Buffalo had 84. Do you consider Buffalo competing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say shot. I think I think for me, the Canadians are still a year or two away from being in the playoffs. I mean, you have teams like Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit who have been a little ahead of them in their trajectory. And even those three teams have failed to get in at this point. Although you can say they have competed. I mean, Detroit missed the playoffs by 1 point. And that's not, and that's not taking consideration the teams in the Metro who are going to be fighting for wild card spots again. The Capitals, the Penguins, the Flyers. So I don't know. I can't confidently put the Canadians ahead of those teams either. I mean, they might be close-ish, but I don't know. I don't think the Canadians are going to be I don't think it's going to be, trade deadline time. The Canadians are 3 points out of a playoff spot. I think they're a little further out than that.
I think they're going to be a lot further out. And I do like the steps the Canadians are making, Anthony. They're not there yet. And I know when everybody's saying, oh, they just got Patrick Laine. We got to figure out if Patrick Laine knows what Patrick Laine is. I'm going to go shot 2 on this one. I like some of the components that they got together. That they got, sorry, hold on. And let me just get rid of that for a second. I like Sam Montembeault. I think he might be a quality goaltender for them. And he needs to keep developing. Thank you, guys. It's like I'm getting 2 texts in a row. Let me just kill that. Get that do not disturb on. Anthony, they're in the right direction. I'm trying to remember what's the name of the defenseman that they drafted last year.
Lane Hudson?
No, the fifth, the German.
Oh,
they got him
Ryan.
They passed.
Reidenbacher or whatever.
Reidenbacher, thank you.
Yeah.
I almost said Rubenbacher. I just didn't want to say that. That's why it's good to avoid the GIF going up, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks like he might be a really good addition for them. And look, Jeff Gordon was in a similar position with the Rangers when he was there, and it was kind of obvious they weren't taking that jump under him. I wonder whether or not he's going to construct the right roster for this team. And I do like the way Morty Louis has been coaching them. I think they need first off, they need a healthy Kirby Dach. When Kirby Dach plays for them, he's done great. It's just that he's just never seems to be healthy. Then they need a healthy Cole Caulfield, who kind of, granted, you're changing your number 13. I hope the one thing I never have to say for you is IR this season. Cole Caulfield, he could be an elite goal scorer. He's just got to play more games. That's what he needs to do.
They don't call him Goal Caulfield for nothing, Mark.
Exactly, and that's why he does it. After all, he had 6, I believe, or 5 in that run to the Stanley Cup Finals. Anthony, in recent seasons, Erik Karlsson, Max Pacioretty, they were both traded right before the start of the season. In Karlsson's case, he went to the San Jose Sharks 2018. And Pacioretty went to the Vegas Golden Knights in 2020, or was that 2019 as well? Anyway,
2019.
Actually, it might have been 2019. They were both in there. There'll be a surprise trade before training camps open, Mr. LaRocco.
I want to say rounds just because I love to see the just trades and player movement. It's good, gives us stuff to talk about. So in that vein, I want to say round, but I don't know. I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer. I'm gonna say shot. Only because at this point, Mark, who's left to be traded? I mean, Nikolai Ehlers' name was out there earlier in the offseason. Is Winnipeg still going to deal him at this point? I don't know. I have my doubts. Aaron Ekblad's name was out there, earlier in the offseason, but I really don't see that happening either at this point. So I don't know. just because of who's out there, I'm gonna stick with Shot.
And by the way, thank you to these guys.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah. And also thanks for correcting me on Reinbacher being Australian. Austrian. Woof. All right, that's just a stutter. Anthony, I'm gonna shot on this one as well. I just don't know what team is gonna be so hamstrung that they have to make those decisions. You saw it before years ago when the Islanders snatched up. I'll throw out two names for you.
Boychuk and Leddy.
Three names for you, just for the New York Islanders.
Boychuk and
with
Leddy.
Boychuk and Leddy when
Yeah.
they were able to snatch them
Yeah.
up, knowing that their situations were coming. And possibly one of the best moves that they made in this century was when Detroit's hand was forced and they got Chris Osgood. And Osgood was more than solid for the New York Islanders for 2 seasons. And
yeah, you know what? And actually, in kind of relation to Gaudreau, and I know at the top of the press conference to this morning, this afternoon, Don Waddell said, he's like, well, I know there's a lot of questions on, what this means for about the hole in our lineup and all of that. He's like, those are questions that will be, answered at a later time, so time or place, which is true. But I will say that if, in the event that the NHL does, remove Gaudreau's contract off their books and doesn't make any sort of special rule for them, they're going to be $4 million roughly under the salary cap floor. So the Blue Jackets would have to add a player. They would have to add, $3.5 million, $4 million in salary to get to the floor. So if that's the case, then maybe you could see a trade before training camp opens. But other than that, I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody making a move at this point.
Yeah, I don't. And again with Columbus, we talked about this the other day. This is where it's the PA and the league.
Let me just clarify. No one asked Don Waddell that question at the press conference. He just said that he understands that there's a lot of speculation about that and that he just wasn't going to take any questions on it today. So no one in the media has asked that question yet.
Yeah.
Anything related to that.
And yeah, nobody's asked that question. But this is also, we've kind of talked about this amongst ourselves because eventually you have to figure out when you have to reopen the business, those are the questions that have to be asked. So it's one of those things you don't want to ask the question, but it has to be done. All right, guys, that is the end of Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk for this afternoon. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining us and playing along down below. We're going to keep this going right now. Anthony, I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be a very easy name this player, and you'll be able to figure out the theme and tell us what the theme is at the end of all of this. Let's start first. We're going to take this player who started with the Calgary Flames, and he has moved on to the Florida Panthers, where he has won a Stanley Cup. Anthony, he had
Ryan Lomberg.
He had over 100 points the previous 2 seasons and 88 last year. Anthony, who is it?
I you know what? I didn't even, before you talked about the points, I just saw Calgary, Florida, and I got it reversed because Lomberg played for
Calgary, Florida, and now he's in Calgary.
Yeah, again, yeah. All right, so this is it's Matt Tkachuk.
That's right. It's Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is going to be an easy one because of the players that I'm going to be putting in here. Let's go to the next one. Fortunately, I have to do the share screen like this. This guy recently just signed with the Boston Bruins. He started his career with the Carolina Hurricanes.
Elias
Went to
Lindholm.
Calgary. It's Elias Lindholm, and that is correct on that one. And lastly, let's go to this guy who he started with the New York Rangers, moved on to the Winnipeg Jets in a trade, to the Philadelphia Flyers, to the St. Louis Blues, and he'll be taking his talents to Pittsburgh.
Kevin
Anthony,
Hayes.
who is this player?
Kevin Hayes.
It's Kevin Hayes. What do they all have in common?
Teammates of Johnny Gaudreau.
Teammates of Johnny Gaudreau. Matter of fact, I still love the video of.
Well, no,
Johnny
Kevin
Gaudreau
Hayes.
on
Kevin
what?
Hayes was never a teammate of Gaudreau.
Boston
They were
College.
just best friends. Oh,
They were-
yeah, Boston
College.
Yeah.
I love the video of Johnny Gaudreau on Kevin Hayes' shoulders at I don't know whose wedding it was. I forgot that video has been going around all over the place. But we're gonna do a quick Puckdoku, guys. And yes, we made that one kind of easy because we want, we always want to give the tributes. Anthony, let's get this one going.
Do the pyramid.
Do the pyramid first?
Yeah.
All right. We got the pyramid. Let's play now. All right. Do we have it on there yet? We do not. Boom. Anthony, first things first, we're going to need a Boston Bruin. So
Bob Beers.
Next thing after that is a Bruin with 40 assists, 100 career playoff games, 1,000 career games played, drafted in the first round, and then a San Jose Shark. So obviously they're trying to kind of leak us, I think, a little towards Joe Thornton. We'll see if we can do better with the score on that one.
Do Bob Beers.
Bob Beers, hell of a good one to start with. Bob Beers. All right. 40 assists in a season.
So Bruin and a 40 assists in a season.
That's a good one right there.
Let's see. I always like in these situations, just because it's easier for me, I try to think of Islanders who played for Boston to just kind of start generating names.
Yeah.
What about Craig Janney?
Craig Janney's a good one. Let me just double check that one for us. And Janney, well, he did play for the Bruins and he did have 40 assists. Now he doesn't have to have 40 assists as a Bruin, right? Well, he did.
No.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 46 assists and 89.
Yeah.
So all right. So let's go Craig Janney. I love it. Let's do this. 40 assists. And this is where you need the obscure guys, I think, to start. Let's just do Janney. There he is. All right. 100 career playoff games.
All right. So a Bruin 40 assists and someone who played with, a Bruin, a guy who's had 40 assists and 100 career playoff games.
Yes. I have one. I just want to make sure he got to 100. He did. I was going to go. It's 40 career assists, right?
Career. We're done with the assists. We're at 100.
Remember, we got to pile it on, right?
Yeah. He just had to have 40 assists in one season.
Oh, in one season.
Yeah.
Well, that ruins one of the guys I was thinking of. So I was hoping Andrew Ferentz was going to fit in there.
If it was just 40 assists, that would be really easy. It's 40 assists in a season.
40 assists in a season. Played for the Bruins.
And has 100 career playoff games. What about Brad Boys?
Well, first, Sean McEachern did get 40 assists in a season with Ottawa, and he played 8 games with the Bruins. And he should have. Oh, he's got 97 playoff games. Oh, you got to be kidding me. You said Brad Boys. Brad Boys, I don't think he was much of an assist guy. Dennis Weidman played for the Bruins. I think he would have more of a chance of getting to 40 points. Holy cow. Brad Boyes, 43 assists in a season for the Bruins specifically, because I know he did it with St. Louis. But let's get down to those
playoff games
numbers. 17 playoff games.
Oh, not even close.
40 assists in a season. I don't want to. Maybe I'll see if I don't think he's got it. I was going to go Martin at one point. There's no chance.
No, I don't think so.
Jason Allison didn't play long enough.
Play long enough? What do you mean?
Yeah, to get to 100 playoff games. I think if you had to ask me, I think Jason Allison. I think he made the playoffs with the Bruins once, and I don't. He
25
career playoffs. Jason Allison 25.
Yeah, only 25.
The Bruins twice, and the LA Kings once, and that was a hell of a series. If you recall that was a series of them in Colorado.
What about
those are two?
What about Bob Sweeney?
Bob Sweeney is a good one. Let's see about that.
I'm checking.
Bob Sweeney.
He has 103 playoff games.
But he didn't get the 40 assists in the season.
33.
33. Well, because Don Sweeney, I don't think he ever got the 40. The current Bruins GM. Just need somebody that played for the Bruins one game.
So I have a guy in mind, but I kind of want to save him for the next one, which is 1,000 career games played, because I think that's going to get even tougher.
Well, because then you got Mark Recchi that's going to be in there too.
So I was thinking Brian Ralston, but I just looked. I just like it doesn't matter because Ralston only played in 77 playoff games, so you can't use him.
Okay. Well, you have Yager, you got Recchi. Let's see what else is on this pyramid. You have drafted in the first round. So again, that's another player that you have to think about with that.
What about Mike Milbury?
Let's take a look at Mike Milbury.
Nope, 34 assists.
Rats.
And he also fell short. He had 86 playoff games.
Well, Phil Esposito definitely played. He had 40 assists.
You're thinking. I'm still trying to keep our uniqueness as low as possible here. Still, considering we're still on the bottom row.
Considering that is true, yeah.
What about Ed Westfall?
By the way, Ken Hodge, 60. He had 40 assists in the season. Ed Westfall. Let's check on the first New York Islander captain. Ed Westfall is got with the Bruins.
No.
He never got to 40 points in a season.
But he only had 95 career playoff games.
Yeah, let's check Ken Hodge in the playoffs. 97. MF.
Who?
No, I said MF. I didn't want to say mother F. So.
Oh.
All the cursing I do. Yeah, I now want to keep it clean. All right. And we got
Sean Bates.
No way does he have 100 playoff games.
Oh yeah, because he was only. Because I think assist wise, he had to have been close with the Islanders.
Sean Bates, 29 playoff games. Sean Bates also, by the way, 35 assists in 01-02. He was one of the players I talked about the Laviolette effect last year. Laviolette can get career seasons out of guys, and he's just always done that.
What about Mariusz Czerkawski?
That's a good one, Anthony. That's a good one. I mean, right now for Family Feud, I'd be clapping, saying that's a good answer. Mariusz Czerkawski. I don't think he's going to have the playoff games. The great thing is, if Phil was here, he'd immediately just hammer that out at us. Believe it or not, he doesn't have 40 assists in the season. 35 with the Islanders. He had 35 goals, 35 assists, and his career best 70-point season. And then, Cherkasky right after that, 62 points, another 30-goal season. People forget about this. Cherkasky was a pretty good New York Islander.
Speaking of Cherkasky, Brian Smolinski.
I like Brian Smolinski. Why does Smolinski go with Cherkasky?
Islanders.
I thought the line was Reichel, Smolinski.
No, I'm just saying Islanders. Just an Islander.
Just Islanders.
Remind me of.
Smolinski got 40 assists with the Pittsburgh Penguins. That would count. And he played for the Boston Bruins. Let's get those playoff numbers. 123 games played. Anthony, I think we have a winner. Ding, 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 ding. Let's get it on there. Smolinski. There we go. All right. Then we got Brian Smolinski. Our uniqueness is still at 1, which is very difficult on this period. Now, adding those 3 things, games played, Boston Bruin, 40 assists in the season, 1,000 career points. I can already tell you Jaromir Jagr and Marc Recchi are on there. Keep going. Obviously, the former Bruins would be on there with Krejci and Bergeron.
Hold on. So Bruin, 40 assists in a season, 100 playoff games, 1,000 career games.
Yep. And they just had to play for the Boston Bruins.
1,000 games, 100 playoff games. People, 100. If you played 100 playoff games, chances are you have a cup, or at least we're on good teams. So, let's see, Westfall. We already said no. Butch Goring.
Butch Goring. Let's see about Butch. 40 assists in the season. By the way, the number, when we talk about Butch Goring, the number that still just boggles my mind, that guy was that good of a defensive player, and the fewest penalty minutes I've seen from a player like that.
Because I do know he ended his career with the Bruins. Not many people. He ended his career with the Boston Bruins, and
he has 40 assists he's got a couple seasons of plenty over 40 assists with the LA Kings, 75, 76, 55 the following year, and then 3 more seasons with over 2 more seasons over 50 assists, or 48 with one of them. So and just making sure, definitely has over, it's Butch Goring. It's got to be Butch Goring on this one. I agree with you 100% on this. So let's go to good old Butch. And,
nice.
Okay. All right. So now they got to be drafted in the first round with all these qualifications. Oh, let's see. Hold on.
You muted.
I muted myself. I didn't unmute myself. Jagr, I believe, was a first round pick. And I'd be right. So he easily qualifies. Let's go with his former teammate twice in the Stanley Cup Finals, Marc Recchi, that he was a 4th round pick. So that eliminates him. We got to think of somebody else besides Jaromir Jagr on this one. What about Espo? Espo was not
Ray Bork, but that might be all right. 40 assists.
Raymond Bork would be in the first round as well.
For a forward, that would be easy. Defenseman. Bruins defenseman. Chara. Chara, but he wasn't. Glenn Wesley, Sergei Gonchar.
So Dano Chara, that's a good one. Let's see about that. I don't know if Chara was drafted in the. I forgot if he was drafted in the first round, third round for Big Z.
Did you hear what I said when your screen went the way? Gonchar.
No, I missed you. What was the next one?
Sergei Gonchar.
Good one. All right, Sergei Gonchar. He's got to have that. First round. And yes, 40 assists this season. We know he played for the Bruins. Because I can't believe he only played for the Bruins for 15 games. Thought he played a lot more for the Bruins.
So did I.
Yeah. I thought he was in the what was the deal he was in with the Bruins? This is definitely a Mandela effect moment. Well, because he was traded by the Washington Capitals to the Boston Bruins for the first round pick that ended up being Jeff Schultz and Sean Morrison. Okay, so let's get it on here. Let's get Sergei Gonchar. So still a one in uniqueness, Anthony. And now we got to think of somebody that played for the Bruins.
Oh, God.
40 assists of the season, 100 career playoff games, 1,000 career games played, a first-round draft pick, and a San Jose Shark. And you got to figure out a way to not make it Joe Thornton.
Yeah, hold on. Is there anybody else that's not Joe Thornton?
I think it's tricking us to think it's Joe Thornton.
Well, he's definitely one of them, but sometimes in these there is only one choice. But before we just try that, I'm just trying to think, is there anybody you can think of that played for the Bruins and the Sharks that did all this?
Well, I looked at Marco Sturm because that was the one I was kind of holstering, and not the case.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Bruins Sharks.
Like I'm trying to go to the inaugural Sharks team to see whether or not
Owen Nolan never played for Boston, right?
I don't think so. I think he played we're gonna check that actually. Let's see. Brian Lawton played for Pittsburgh, but he only has 400 games played, and he didn't get the 40 assists in the season, so Brian Lawton would not be there. Let's try Owen Nolan. Hold on. So I don't think I'm gonna check Kelly Kissio just for giggles now. Okay, so let's try Owen Nolan. Nope, no one never played for that. Speaking of which, Owen Nolan played for the Calgary Flames and the Coyotes.
Billy Guerin.
Yes. He's got to have all the qualifications.
We'll try it, but look first. Because he's definitely a Bruin, he's definitely a Shark.
And he had a 40 assist season in Edmonton.
I'm pretty sure he was drafted in the first round by the Devils.
And you'd be correct, 5th overall. So
all right,
let's go with that. Billy Guerin.
Did you confirm? Does he have 100 playoff games? Look.
I'll look at it one more time. He's got three different playoff, 2 different Stanley Cups. That's at least 30 playoff games each. Let's get to it. NHL miscellaneous, NHL playoffs, 140 playoff games for Bill Guerin.
Hold on. He never He never had 40 assists in a season.
Yes, he did.
I'm looking right now.
Look at year 2001. He had 10 with the Edmonton Oilers and 35 with the Boston Bruins. He was traded midseason.
Yeah, 45. that better. I mean, yes.
Anthony, if we get this and we keep it out, you ready? Let's do this. I love it. Bill Guerin. How?
Because
Meet all the qualifications.
I guess because they didn't all come with the same team.
Ron Sutter. You kidding me?
Who would have ever thought of Ron Sutter?
Well, I was looking at the inaugural Sharks team, and I believe Ron Sutter was on it. But Anthony, that is BS. Because I'll highlight this for everybody right here. This one, I'm gonna copy this because I gotta go to here. Bill Guerin right there, and highlight it right there. That is 45 assists in that season.
We got shafted there.
We got shafted something bad. In the words of Samuel L. Jackson, that is some bullshit. So, all right. All right. Anthony, it's 7:16. I think we're gonna call it a show.
Yeah,
right there.
I gotta go. School's in session now, so I gotta get the little one all ready for bedtime routines and all that stuff. So
all right. Well, go on, keep on parenting, and again,
do you do Puckdokus anymore? Because you don't send them in the group chat every day.
I need to get back on it. I stopped doing them for a little bit just because I've been busy in the mornings, but I've been actually doing more Wordle too. That's a different story. But yeah, I'm gonna get back on it. I'll get them in the group chats again. All right. Guys, everybody, thanks for joining us today on Big Apple Hockey. We had a great time doing all this with you, and I am looking forward.
This,
yes, wicked,
yes.
100%.
We need to take this up with Mr. Puckdoku. Be like, hey, listen, what's that about?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, here's one for you. Didn't Brian Leach play in 100 playoff games? Yes, he did. I don't need to look. He already did. I could already tell you. And that would have been another 100 plus points. And he did play for the Boston Bruins the last season of his career. So would have been a good one. But that is just wrong.
Yeah.
No, McEachern didn't make it. 97. I can't believe it.
And everybody just remember, at 8 o'clock tonight, they're having the candlelight vigils for the Gaudreau brothers in Calgary and Columbus. So just around 8:30, if you're cognizant of it, just do maybe a little moment of silence or prayer for them, because that's roughly around the time that unfortunate accident, fatal accident took place. So
yeah,
thoughts and prayers with their family tonight.
And the young families, and obviously, like we said before, Leach didn't make it. He made it to 95, not 100. He had two separate playoff runs where he went to the conference finals.
Yeah,
once the Stanley Cup. I mean, I guess that 7-year gap from 97 to 2004 probably did him in on that. So,
yeah.
All right.
Guys,
everybody, once again, thank you very much for joining us at Big Apple Hockey, and we look forward to next week and a happier stream to go with that. Thank you, and have a good weekend.